go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is Markets in the Morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart, along with the altcoin market. We take a look over there at the United States stock market, which is set to open up in the next 30 minutes, along with looking at precious metals like gold and the US dollar currency index, or the DXY. Lastly, we wrap it all up with looking at any type of financial news going on out there in the world today, as we're halfway through the week, and any type of crypto news that could possibly be going on that, or could that even really matter, which we all know it does not, but we'll take a look at it anyways, just to humor everybody. Either way, guys, thanks for tuning in here to Markets in the Morning. And it's the halfway point of the week. We do these just to kind of have a little fun, keep it light, tight, and bright. So happy Wednesday, everyone.
It is Wednesday, my It is Wednesday.
All right. Enough with the goofiness. Let's dive right on in, right? All right, first of all, thank you all so much for tuning in. And of course, Chieftain Blackbeard coming out like crazy, like he always does to start with 50 memberships. Brother, thank you so much, man. You do that every time. Thank you. And then Edward Lang, of course, came in with 100, man. Dude. You guys are too kind. Thank you so much. And Bulldog gave 5 as well. Very, very generous of you guys. And of course, anybody who had their name flipped green in the chat. It's amazing. We'll do a member stream on Friday this week, guys. So even if you have a free membership, you can tune into that one. All right, let's go ahead and dive into what's going on out there in the market. A lot has developed, of course, here in this last week. The big major milestone, of course, being Ethereum breaking out. Just absolutely stunning to see that happen over there. There's actually a few things going on in the market that are very interesting outside of this. This, of course, goes in conjunction with the things we've been looking for. Of course, my thesis of the market has been that, on the bigger scale, let me zoom in on this really quick. On right, the big scale of it, being that, we're like working on this type of stuff to come in here in the market. And in the equivalence of where we are right now for Bitcoin is like the equivalence of being right in there. And we're still trying to get into building a parabola to happen in here. And so all the things that we talk about in this market and that we're looking for to see if there's evidence of that being true, of course, would be if we're seeing the altcoin market start to break out and start to do things. And so the thesis, of course, has been that once we get this breakout happening in here, we'll start seeing that type of action happening throughout the market. And so, of course, what do we have? We have Ethereum go and break a 4-year resistance level in here. The next stop, obviously, as you could see, is the previous all-time high, which sits there at about 48.75. So that's kind of the last stopping point there for Ethereum in order for it to get broken out into a new all-time high. Binance coin, of course, it's fighting up in there as well. I think last time I checked, it was at 850. I don't have that in front of me here really quick. Where you at? 855. So Binance coins, of course, in the all-time high as well. XRP there at $3.27. These, of course, are our 3 major altcoins in the market, right? So we want to see the majors leading the way. Then, of course, then come the mid caps, then come the small caps. Then we get to irrational exuberance, extreme risk taking. We get into discussions of super cycles, right? And the market just becomes absolutely nuts. And then, of course, we typically wrap it all up with NFTs and with meme coins in particular, right? That's where things really start getting crazy, is when people are just, you've made a lot of profits from all the big stuff, and now you're trying to chase those 100x gains, and people start throwing all their money at the meme coins and all those different things. And we're obviously not even there yet. You can check the XRP ledger and look at the meme coin market there. There's absolutely nothing going on. I don't think with Solana either. I think Base is starting to heat up right now because, of course, Ethereum is doing well. Base, of course, being an L2 of Ethereum and tied over there to Coinbase, so an easy on-ramp for everybody over there at Coinbase as well. But, the market is really doing what we would hope to be seeing happening in here, in that, we're starting to see altcoin behavior start to take off. It's what you would expect. There's really just two different times in the market where we see alt seasons. They tend to be when Bitcoin is expanding into a new all-time high after a multi-year bear market, or when Bitcoin is producing a top. And so the thesis has been, of course, that we're well beyond what would be considered the expansion of Bitcoin. That would have actually been way back over here when Bitcoin was breaking out here back in November of last year. We know that to be true too, is because this is where XRP runs from 50 cents to $3 as well. So while we didn't see the whole altcoin market participate, we saw various sectors of the altcoin market participate and then still may be able to maintain themselves. So XRP being really the main one to be able to do that, thank God. But, now it comes into the point of, all right, now we're getting to, the topping phase of the market. And people will look at that from a negative light. You look at that as a positive light. But the reality is, if you're an altcoiner, if that's your thing, you have to, you can buy into all the narratives that all the YouTubers spit for you and all the Twitter accounts spit for you. But I try to present it from just a data analytical standpoint of when do these coins tend to take off. They just take off when Bitcoin's expanding or when Bitcoin's topping. So in the end, you're cheering for one of those two events. I know you want to cheer for all the money, non-disclosure agreements being released and partnerships and all that different stuff. But if you go and study all of your charts, you will realize none of that matters. It's all about liquidity flows happening throughout markets. And so what we always look for is going to be expansions or tops. And so right now, are we acting like what a top would be? Well, why would Ethereum be breaking out if it wasn't, right? So these are all good things that we're seeing in here, because you cheer for those two phases of the market. You either cheer for the expansion, which we know we're beyond, because that's what happened in November last year, or you cheer for the peak in irrational exuberance to start to come into the market, which it appears that's what we're starting to see. Obviously, I'm just looking at the Bitcoin chart in and of itself, and without using this comparison, how would you know that? It could just end up being some type of continuation. But and that this thing, a lot of people will start saying super cycle, this is nowhere near done, it's going way higher, and all those different things. But the things that I use to tell me, well, I still think this thesis is correct, and I think what we're going to do is do a 5-wave parabola to go and finish it, and the altcoin market's going to rally with it, is even looking at things like the Bitcoin dominance, right? So Bitcoin dominance, we know, peaked, or it collapsed on itself where? At the peak of Bitcoin back in 2021. So, we know that that's what happens, right? We know that the collapse of the Bitcoin dominance happens when the market is actually peaking. And so are we seeing that right now, right? And you look at these two and you say, well, how do you not know that this move right here isn't really just one of these things, and it's going to end up catching itself, and then it's going to bounce, and then it's going to keep marching up higher like it has been for the last several years, right? This has just been a squeezing pattern that just continues to go. What could make this look any different than what this one was back over here? And that's what I kind of tried to present. It's just getting blurry for me whether that was Monday or whether that was Friday's video that we were talking a lot about Bitcoin dominance. I believe it was last Friday. But you can see it here in the underlying indicators as well, that the Bitcoin dominance is really starting to turn on itself and get a lot more weaker. And you can see that especially, it's hard to tell that when we just look at it on the daily time frame, but when we scoot out to the weekly time frame, we can definitely start to see it emerge in here, how this is vastly different. You can see here on the MACD, just look how much weaker the MACD is in here. One thing I presented as well last week when we're talking about the Bitcoin dominance, and for those who have studied, relative strength index, right? You have your bull level where 40 is your support, and then you have your bear level where 60 is your resistance, right? So as you can see in here with this move down in here, what does it do? It bounces right off of 40, right? Now you can look over here at this level. What are we doing? Last week when we were talking about this, we were still maintaining on top of this 40. Now here we are in the new week. We're starting to actually break down in here. We are definitely below 40 now here on the Bitcoin dominance. Well, then you go back over in here, you look back to what happened in 2021 when the peak of Bitcoin was coming in, right? And the breakdown in the Bitcoin dominance happened and alt season kicked in. One, we were breaking down from this exact level, right? So this is the exact level that we were breaking down from. And two, you could see that it also had maintained itself here on top of the 40 support, and then it broke through the 40 support and started cracking down. You can see we've held on top of this thing for years. We've been on top of it dating back to 2022. And so here we go. One other thing, of course, looking at here at the monthly time frame, look at this change over here on the relative strength index when it comes to what's happening in here, right? This is the move that happens right in here that we just talked about. We say, oh, how do we not know that this is any different from here, right? How do we not know? Well, you can look in here to see even this trend change happening over here on the monthly time frame on the relative strength index, where that one catches a nice little bounce, and then you can see there's way more weakness showing up in here on this move, of course, after rejecting off that 786 Fibonacci retracement. Then you look over here on the MACD. What are we about to get on a monthly time frame, guys? We're about to have that thing cross over. This thing's about to go red. When I talked about this last week, I think we were saying, definitely by next month, but there's a possibility even by this month here in August, we actually flip red, that we actually end up making that flip end up happening here in August. So there certainly are differences here in the underlying indicators of that move, of these two different moves happening compared to each other. But also to remember, like, what were we just talking about? Like, right, are we producing a top, right? Are we producing a top? Well, if this thing is breaking down, we know that is also when tops are being produced, right? So it's what you cheer for, right? So, like, it's always weird. It's weird, when you try not to bring the hype narrative, right? Because when you're just trying to spit it like it is, because it's a mix of both. It's a mix of like, hey, this is extremely exciting because this is what you all come here for. You're cheering for the top, but you're cheering for the hot potato moment, right? We're all cheering for the hot potato. Who's going to be the one hot potato? Who's got the hot potato? Somebody's going to get caught with a hot potato at the end, right? Instead, it's more fun for people to create YouTube videos saying that, we're going to go out for forever and all that different type of stuff. But so I'm conflicted, just as a YouTuber and everything like that, just conflicted. I'm like, yeah, I'm really excited that we're going to get this. I'm really excited for that. I think it's going to get really euphoric in the market. We're seeing that happening with Ethereum breaking out. There's a confluence of that, of what we've been looking for. We see the Bitcoin dominance breaking down. We see the weakness emerging in the Bitcoin dominance. It seems like we're gearing up for the real exciting time of the market. But those only come in two environments. They come during expansions, or they come during blow off tops. And so what it implies, right? Like, we may be getting pretty close to our blow off top once this thing happens, right? And I don't think it's going to happen this week. I don't think it's going to happen next week or the week after that. I think it's probably going to take at least a month for it all to play out. But that's the environment that we're kind of shifting into right now. And that's exciting and sad at the same time. I don't know how to really put that into words, but maybe that's more of just my own personal thoughts coming out, but that's definitely a conflict that I've had within my own head. But, this is what you would expect, right? You would expect to be seeing the breakouts happening. If we hadn't laid this groundwork for so long, that we would be expecting these types of things to happen, right? BNB all-time highs, Ethereum almost at an all-time high, XRP knocking on all-time highs, Bitcoin dominance breaking down. Why are all those things happening? Because one of the environments must be true, right? It's an expansion or it's a top, but we know we're past the expansion. So it's exciting. It's exciting. But it's when it locking in, trying to not be excited at the same time, right? Like knowing hey man, that sell button's going to be getting hit, and it's going to be getting hit hard when the time comes, and that may not be too far away when you're just looking at it from that picture. But either way, so what's the other thing that we need, right? So we always talk about this stuff, blah blah blah. Oh, Bitcoin is a structure. That's great. You got Bitcoin dominance doing what it's doing. You got Ethereum doing what it's doing. But what's the other thing that we always look at? The thing that annoys everybody because we've brought it up for so long. The Russell 2000 breadth. What's going on with the Russell? There you have it. There you go. It's trying. What do you know? Don't worry. That's not a coincidence. Right? So there you go. The Russell 2000 is taking out the 786 Fibonacci retracement. Of course, there's a little bit of caution here at this time. It's very exciting to see it get out. We'll see how the daily candle closes. We have seen this before, right? If you guys remember, this was actually during a Fed meeting. We live streamed that one. Yeah, you can see there, Wednesday, July 31st, 2024. Holy cow, I can remember that from over a year ago that we were live during a Fed meeting when that one happened. So we'll want to see this thing have a daily close here above this 786 Fibonacci retracement level. If so, probably signifies we're well on our way and things are going good. But you all know it. You need that. You got it. Ethereum, right? We talk a lot about confluence, right? And factors that you need, right? What do you need for an alt season? You need there to be an expansion or a peak. What do you need? You need to see the Russell 2000 breaking out. What do you need? You need the Bitcoin dominance breaking down, right? You want to see majors running, right? Majors getting back to the highs and doing their thing. All of these things are all lining up and they're all doing what they're supposed to be doing. So we're heading into things that look like an exciting time in the market. And, I just don't see, I think the thing that's exciting is that there's still more ahead, right? Like, I know I'm going to get real nervous once I start seeing waves get counted in here. I know I'm going to start getting real antsy about that when that happens, but we haven't even started those waves yet. So that's what kind of creates a little bit of additional excitement and relaxation in this moment right now. And I also think the Bitcoin dominance has a long way to go. And I think we'll all argue till we're blue in the face on how deep this thing is going to go, whether or not it's going to be setting new lows or not on this run down. I think, just from making YouTube videos and YouTube content, the area I feel comfortable with saying are these areas down in here in the 48s to 49s. So I'm going to be comfortable. I feel real comfortable thinking that's where we're going to be going to at a minimum. Beyond that, it gets a lot more blurry and more difficult on having conviction and strong belief on which way that could end up going after that. But until we get there, right, and until we start producing these waves in here, and until the Russell 2000 is at an all-time high, the only thing I can sit here and think is there's more room to run, right? There's more room to go, and it's an exciting time. And we still have the crowd to pour in, right? I think I haven't seen the coin. Let me pull it up so I don't say that. Let me see. What is the Coinbase app bot rankings? That's a tongue twister. 283 as of last night is the Coinbase app bot rank. So the crowd isn't even here. Where are you? And we know they're going to be the ones buying the top. They always do. So there's still room for the crowd to come pouring in. There's still room for the Bitcoin dominance. There's room for the Russell 2000. There's room for these altcoins. XRP, I still think, has got quite a ways to go up higher. So it's an exciting time, and there's the confluences of all these things happening in the market to be excited. But the difficult part is people get lost in false realities, and it's going to be real easy to do right now. Because you can just look at narratives of everything going on right now, right? Like for XRP people, it's going to be the Ripple versus the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit is completely done, right? So now speculation can run rampant on, what are all the NDAs that haven't been disclosed yet, or it's been suppressed. Now it has the freedom to run. Or you're going to say, pro crypto White House, or you're going to say ETFs, or you're going to say crypto legislation, right? So you have all these positive narratives for retail to really be able to run with it. And then not just that, you now have a 100% probability priced into the market that on September 17th, we're going to have a rate cut. It's at 99.9% that we're going to see a 0.25% rate cut, and a 0.1% probability that we're going to see a 50 basis point rate cut. So you have everything that retail loves, right? You have every narrative that retail loves where they view the market as low risk, right? So we're just entering into what you want to see, man. And it's great for the people who got in and have just held on for dear life because you just get to kind of sit back. The hard part is going to be, we're going to enter into an environment here where there's going to be a lot of chasing. New people pouring in, not knowing what to buy. It's going to throw their money everywhere. You're going to see people who get frustrated at what they do own. They're going to chase other things, and those things are going to top. And then the things that they used to own are going to start pumping. They're just going to wash their money around and get wrecked. But that's just the classic environment of an alt season. And it seems like we're knocking on the brink of that. We got the confluence markers of it all over the place that we're entering into that type of phase. And we're getting that in macro at the same time and narratives with rate cuts, right? So the market has the juice and energy to keep running. And we'll see if we top there on September 17th, right? So, but there you go, Russell 2000. We'll see how the Dow does when it wakes up this morning here in about 9 minutes. It was up 483 yesterday. It'll be up 166 at least right now. So we of course have the confluence of trying to get the Dow to break out into the highs, the Russell to be able to ensure that it can close above this 786 fib level. If you don't remember, this breakout right here is what sent XRP from 50 cents to $3. And this was the one we talked about, July to November, August, 4 months of us talking about that Russell 2000 and you guys just being absolutely sick of it and me sick of talking about it, frankly. I'm glad we haven't had to talk about it nearly as long as this one, but we know that's the exact same level that all the struggling happened at, and we'll see if we can get things kicking into high gear. Gold, of course, still just chilling out here, not doing anything except running sideways. Again, my thoughts are, even if gold does pop up in here, that's totally temporary. I think this thing's going to come crumbling down as well. I think that's, of course, just temporary. That's just a correction that's going to be happening in here. But we have to see gold chill out in order for the crypto market to run. And we can look in here. We know that is typically the case. And you can see how long gold has been chilled. It's totally lost momentum, right? This has been stuck in here, right? Longer than it's been stuck in any of the other ones. So I think gold has totally chilled out, and that's why we're also getting to see equity markets run. We're getting to see the cryptocurrency market run. And I don't think there's really much to chase here in gold as of right now. As for the dollar, I'm not going to spend too much time on the dollar today. We've done that the last few markets in the morning. Again, just reiterating, we've pretty much done exactly what we did back in 2021, getting down to these lows. And as everybody should know, it was the double bottoming of the DXYs where the actual crypto market went wild in 2021. So people may be having a misconception that the dollar has to fall in order for crypto to run. We actually didn't run until we bottomed, and then the double bottom marked the end. So as long as we're here just chilling, even the DXY is cooperating as it should be. Now, a big thing, of course, in here that's happening today is Total 2. So Total 2 has now just taken out the December of 2024 peak. There's only one spot left on this thing. And that is the previous all-time high. So there is December of 2024. Good morning. We've now taken it out today. Oh boy. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing, guys. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Just right on cue. Right on cue. So looking good. Of course, we're all still waiting on for XRP. My thoughts are XRP will probably peak right at the exact same time as Bitcoin probably does. So we're waiting on this thing to go plunging down here as the XRP dominance. I won't get too detailed into that. I practically made a whole video on it one day last week. So exciting time. Things are acting the way they should be. Ethereum is evidence of that. These are things that we were looking for in this environment, that we would see the altcoin market start to wake up. We've seen that. XRP now 230, Ethereum 47.15, Binance Coin. What are you at? 856. I don't own any Binance Coin, but I recognize it as one of the top three altcoins. So those are our big boys, and those are the ones that we want to see doing stuff. Otherwise, today, the big thing I'll be paying attention to, of course, is to see that we don't pull off one of these guys, and we do actually end up closing the Russell 2000 here above the 786 Fibonacci retracement level. In the event that we do, there's all your confluence. Let's get a go. So, things are going just fine. Things are going well. Just sitting back, twiddling thumbs, and enjoying the moment while we're in it, and paying attention that it seems like there's still a bit to go in here, guys. So there you go. Rate cuts coming. Retail's favorite narrative to run with, and content creators' favorite narrative to propagate and run with as well. So looking over there at news to kick off the day, Trump considering 11 candidates for Fed chair, included David Zervos and Rick Ryder, sources say. Trump threatens Powell with major lawsuit, demands interest rate cut. Fed board contenders Moran Bullard say tariffs are not causing inflation. How big tech is paying its way out of Trump's tariffs. Weekly mortgage refinancing demand shoots 23% higher, with riskier loans making a comeback. Moving over there to crypto news. Ether climbs towards new highs as Standard Chartered ups target to $7,500. Ether marching toward all-time highs as traders predict $13,000 Ethereum price. Well, sounds like people like Ethereum again. Remember when it was $1,400 like 3 months ago, and it was like the laughing stock of X? Remember that? Never forget, right? It's just such a good example. We're living in it. Retail sentiment is determined by price action. An asset is good and strong and wonderful if its price is going up. An asset is stupid and dumb and has no chance of survival if the price is going down. So, price is a trick, right? All right, Ether. Scottie Pippen says Michael Saylor warned him about Satoshi chatter. Ooh. Stablecoin laws aren't aligned and big fish benefit. Skynet 1.0 before Judgment Day. Alt Sigma to raise $1.5 billion for First World Liberty Financial Corporate Treasury. USDC issuer Circle to launch new Layer 1 ARC blockchain this year. Is $30 XRP price a real possibility for this bull cycle? Is XRP way overvalued to buy right now? That's funny. You put both of those right next to each other. CoinDesk owner bullish ups IPO goal to $1 billion as Wall Street backs crypto push. So there you go. Literally nothing going on in news except for price predictions, and nothing going on out there in financial news. I would say the biggest thing that markets are doing today is we went from being about a 96% probability of a rate cut to we went to 100% today. So 100% means what? The market is fully convinced. It is completely convinced that we will be seeing the rate cut happen on September 17th, which we've been live streaming all of those for, I don't know, 2 years maybe now. We've been live streaming the Fed meetings. That next one, so long as we get the cut, that will be our last Fed live stream. I just don't see the point of doing those if we're in a cutting cycle. So that'll probably be our last one that we end up doing. It was really, when we started it, it was just kind of like, when we started it years ago, is this the one where they pivot? Nope. Is this the one where they pivot? Nope. How about this one? Nope. Here we are. I don't even know how many we've done. 15 or 20 later. Okay, now they've pivoted. And so that'll probably be the last Fed live stream that we end up doing. But all right, there you go, everybody. Bitcoin creeping along, doing as it should. Still just flagging in here, right? But we're seeing the altcoins do some stuff. Seeing Ethereum over $4,700, XRP at $3.32 currently right now. Big thing to watch today will be Russell 2000. We'll see if we're able to continue to hold that daily close above the 786 Fibonacci retracement. What do you know? What do you think the chances are on everything that we ever talk about, of confluences and things like that, that the Russell is doing this at the same time as Ethereum and the crypto market and the Bitcoin dominance and everything. One big giant trade all in motion all at the same time. So there you have it. That's your markets in the morning. With a green day over there in stocks, a green day over there in crypto. and things are just humming along right on pace. So I'm just sitting back, chilling, enjoying the moment. So, all right, we'll go ahead and hop into chat here, guys. Again, thank you, Chieftain Blackbeard. Thank you, Edward Lang. I appreciate you guys very much, man. It's amazing. Thank you. Pew Pew said, "Did no sleep season start?" I don't think so yet. I mean, like, prices are moving up, right? But I don't think it's. I don't know. I'm sleeping just fine. Is everybody else sleeping fine? I'm sleeping good. I'm okay. Clutch, 26-month milestone. Let's go. My brother, thank you very much for the support for over 2 years, dude. Ethan Davis, new member. Welcome, brother. 42 Pro says, interesting to see Bitcoin peak on 714, then print a small 702 retrace on 718, while XRP shot up 30% into the retrace. Could this be a prelude to what the top will look like? Thanks, BCB, for everything. Yeah, I still scratch my head on that, on whether or not we'll see a 702 retrace at the peak, right? So, like, right, one of the mistakes in 2021, let's just get a full screen going. We'll get off of here. We'll go to Bitcoin. Right. One of the mistakes in 2021 was thinking that we would see a 702 retrace out of here and that we would see the altcoin market rally into that, right? But then as time went on, it became really apparent that I'll just use this. We set a new high on Bitcoin, but we were in a bear market already, right? And we spent a lot of time in 2022, 2023, and 2024 talking about this. We haven't had to talk about that much in 2025 really at all. But for those who've been here around for a long time and been in markets in the morning for a long time, of course, you saw this many, many times, that the market peaked right here. We just got a really kind of crazy bounce. It was like we were muffled here, but then our bounce goes a little bit higher. So we always refer to this as being the peak of the market rather than over in here, because 90% of the altcoin market did actually peak back in 2021, right? Then this market really just acts right on cue of exactly like what happens when you're deep in a bear. All this price action was really just exactly like being deep in a bear, and most of the altcoin market did not go any higher than that. So, looking for a 702 Fibonacci retracement level in here, of course, being like, well, we knew that was the top. It wasn't like a surprise to us that this was the top. It was real confusing, of course, to see a new high come in and then there not be a retrace and not be an altcoin rally to happen into here. But what we did have is we did have one happen in here, right? So when this peak comes in, there is a 702 retracement that happens within here within a month, right? So kind of having the idea that, it's okay. There'll be a 702 retracement that comes 6 months after the peak or 8 months after the peak, and then we'll rally into that one. I highly doubt it. Like, if there's going to be some type of 702 retracement that happens after a peak gets, like, let's just pretend this, right? Let's pretend we do something like this. Okay, and then we put in 5 waves like this, right? Like, well, you can look over here and see that it's highly likely, in my opinion, right, as of right now with the information at hand, that there's going to be a pretty big fall, right? And then it'll go back into a retracement like this, right? Before it then rolls over and goes kerplunk, big time. So, people are going to look at this and say, well, there's going to be a 702 Fibonacci retracement that comes in right here, right? And that'll be where the altcoin market goes rallying. But I don't think it will. I don't think that will. I think that would be very similar to like what happened in November of 2021. But if there were to be some type of 702 Fibonacci retracement, is that it would actually be muffled within here, and that we would see it kind of like in here, and that it would just show up in here before that, and that the peak would be in something like that, and it would be really quick, right? Like having to learn from that from 2021, right? That it was there and not over here, right? So that's I'm not sure if we'll even see that. If we'll see like a 702 and then the altcoin market continues rallying. Like for example, right, guys, here's what he's talking about. In case you don't know what we're talking about here, right? That Bitcoin tends to do this at its peak. That it goes into a 702 retracement in here, and that the altcoin market doesn't peak at the peak of Bitcoin. It peaks into the retracement. This is also what we ended up seeing in 2021, right? That, or excuse me, 2017, 2018, that Bitcoin goes back into a retracement, but you can see in here where the peak of Bitcoin is not the peak of the altcoin market, right? The altcoin market rallies, continues to rally even higher, even though Bitcoin only goes into a retrace. So the question, he says, do you think we'll see something happen into a retrace on Bitcoin again, or like for XRP? Are we getting kind of a hint from that that's going to end up being the case? I don't know. I'm not entirely confident on how that will pan out right in there, if that will end up being the case. And I don't know if I can bet all my marbles on it being the case. One thing that, right, the thing that we did get in here, right, because this is essentially the same top that we had. We did end up having that 702 retracement happen right here, right? Just as we did right in here. Right, that does appear in there, and then it goes and plunges, right, and then it goes and sets the new high, the two highs, right. For those who were here in 2021, we talked about this stuff a lot back then, but we did have the 702 retracement happen right in here. I don't see one here, right? Like I don't see that is the case, so I'm not sure. Frankly, not sure. So, my thoughts run through me of more of like just like a DCA out rather than a top nail. Because I think a top nail is going to be pretty hard. There you go. So I just spent a lot of time on that one question. I'm going to have to move faster than that. 42 pros. Thank you, brother. Garrett Lang gifted 5 memberships. Brother, thank you. Sun says, please give us a target for ADA. There's a reason why we're not talking about specific altcoins anymore. You guys try to borrow conviction from other people. Like, put a retrace on it. $2, right? If it goes to $2, $2.50, that's like my bare minimum target. If it breaks out from there, my max target's like $10, right? It's just going to depend on what's happening with Bitcoin in there. If Bitcoin goes and does a very clear 5-wave structure in here, and it's at 5 waves, and Cardano's at $2, I'll sell it all. No problem. I will dump it all. Then what's the potential all-time high? Like, so if you haven't pulled up your chart to look at where the previous all-time high for Cardano is, it's around $3, right? Chris De Leon, BCB, thank you for everything. Can you please send a YouTube or X post when the member stream would be on Friday? Would like to plan my work day to join. Sure. Yeah, I'll tighten that up and have a time. I'm going to assume it's going to be in the morning. It won't be this early because I'll put out a YouTube video. So like, here's what like Friday schedules. right, newsletter gets released typically at the same time. I try to get it out at the same time. I've never like committed that this is what I do, but for those who pay attention, this is usually what does happen. I try to release it at 8 a.m. Eastern time on the 15th and on the last day of the month. I've never committed to it that it will always be released at 8 a.m. on those days, but that's what I try to shoot for. Could be later, could be earlier. It just really depends on how life is for me, but that's like what my goal always is. Then I want to put a YouTube video out on Friday, and then after the YouTube video is where we'll do the member stream. So I'm assuming the member stream will likely be somewhere around 11:30 a.m., 12 lunchtime Eastern time on Friday. JB Estrada, new member, welcome. JB, I find that hard to believe. Thank you, brother. Andreas, why has Link performed so well, but XRP didn't in the last few days? Both are large caps. So some money shifted to large caps already, I guess. Yeah. So like I've seen this stuff over there on Twitter. You can, the people who are in the most dangerous position psychologically in this market are the people who are in a particular asset and they're looking at other assets and saying, why is that asset pumping and mine is not? You are the most danger to yourself. That's dead truth. You are certainly going to fumble your bags. You are certainly going to get wrecked in this market as things continue to play out. Right, Chainlink is trying to play catch up to XRP at this point, right? So it's way behind where XRP is at. Oscar Hernandez, my brother. Thank you for the super sticker. Lane Shumway, new member, welcome. Thank you, sir. Oscar Hernandez then with Meow Meow. Ah, yes. Oscar's glorifying in his own fame now. Is that Navy retweeted him? Congrats, dude. And oh man, then he gifted 5 BCB memberships. Brother, thank you, man. Nakaria Nagi, member for 1 month. Will you hold our hands and sing Kumbaya to us through the bear market, or will you just take a break? Yeah, people ask that in markets in the morning all the time. Like the YouTube videos will come down. The expectation will definitely be not that it's an everyday channel. I don't see any point in doing that. I don't see any reason of being a pick me up and a little bit of reassurance when my thoughts are we're probably gonna be in a world of hurt for a good solid year, right? And, then I want to work on some side projects, right? So like I want to write a book. That's kind of a main thing, right? I enjoy writing the newsletter. I like having bigger, broader perspectives, but YouTube videos every single day, holding hands, singing Kumbaya while prices are falling. I don't know, man. Like I think the way I see it in my mind right now is that once we got beyond this peak right here, that I'd cut it down to 2 to 3 videos per week, probably expectations of like 2, and then of course I'm still managing the newsletter in the background, and that eats up a solid 3 to 4 days every 2 weeks for me. But then at the same time, I want to write a book of my story. Right, I have no idea if that book would sell or if it would just be like in an echo chamber of 5,000 people who watch my YouTube channel and they'd buy the book and that's about it, and that's fine. But it's like this personal goal in life to have written a book and also to tell the story for my children to where they get to see, they understand this was a really weird chapter of my life, doing the YouTube thing, riding the magical internet money wave and all that different stuff, and just telling that story for my kids. So when they're old, they can read that, and they're struggling, right? They're out of college, they're working some dingus job, trying to pay their rent, right? They're still eating ramen noodles. And they're like, how did my dad do so well? And they go back and read that really weird story and understand that, because to them, this whole world that we live is just totally normal. Dad does this YouTube thing too. It's just like whatever. Still just dad. Thing is, talks back, throws crap. Don't they know? I do YouTube. They don't care. They don't care at all. I just want to tell the story. And so that I figured a year is a good time to be able to do that and have that. So that's kind of like the main project I'd be working on during that time. So. Brandon Hammond, thanks for all you do. I hope your family is doing. People wonder why I leave, like why I abandoned the blockchain backer thing, right? This is something that, when I started it, it was just, I created it because of a passion of something that I would do regardless of whether or not I was recording YouTube videos on it. I'm still just going to spend all day looking at these charts. I'm still just going to spend all day trying to discover things. But it was turned out that, hey, if I'm already spending 8 or 9 hours a day doing this stuff, I can put together a 10-minute video and like highlight the interesting things that I found, right? And people found that fascinating when I did that. And in the beginning, it wasn't, I just didn't know. And then it grew and it became part of my life. It has gotten me to travel the world, literally the world. Due to blockchain backer, I've been to, Florida, I've been to New York City, I've been to Las Vegas, I've been to Austin, Texas, I've been to Australia. That's something that never would have happened without this. And it's certainly who I am as a person and defines, a life achievement of mine. So it would be, I couldn't imagine who I would be as a human if this got thrown away. You know what I mean? Like this is a defining thing of who I am as a person. So no, I won't be leaving blockchain backer, but will it, during a likely poor period of the market, which I think will be coming once we get through all this stuff, it'll probably be cut back a little bit, but I'll still be working on like a blockchain backer book. So yeah. Brandon Hammond said, thanks for all that you do. I hope your family is doing well. On a lighter note, Mr. Q is an absolute lunatic who must be stopped. Mr. Q is a character for sure. But, I don't know. I think a lot of us are better off because of that. While in the thick of the moment and all the crazy of him still pushing his positivity. Who'd have thunk? The dude was right. Andy Philpott, member for 43 months. My brother. Thanks, BCB. Appreciate your continued support. Thanks for all that you do. Andy, thank you for all your continued support, sir. Stephen Edinburgh, member for 14 months, has been here since February 2023, mate. 88 weekly chart will lower close on June 16th. Hinder PA. Appreciate you tuning in. No, I still think so many people get caught up into focusing on individual charts as if any of it really matters. It's going to be a blow off altogether. It's just whether or not some of them are going to have the juice to be able to escape. That's it. There's going to be surprises of ones that do, and there's going to be the vast majority that do not. Right? Things that have like rough chances, right? When I look at them, and I own these things too, like things I think that have like rough chances of breaking into all-time highs, or things like Polkadot, or things like Avalanche, just because they're still at the lows, right? Or things like Cosmos, Atom, right? They seem really rough, like they pretty much have it locked in that they're only going to be a retrace, right? Things that have like stronger chances because they've held up higher are things like maybe HBAR, or things like Cardano, or things like Chainlink, because they've done better. They've held up higher. They're not like those other parts of the market that have still held down very lower. So I still give them a chance of getting out. But your strongest ones, of course, are going to be, your BNBs, your Trons, your XRPs, your Ethereums, your Solanas. Those ones have, I think, the highest probability of probably getting out. I think you have a mixed bag on those ones in the middle, those Chainlinks, those Cardanos, those Hederas, right? But I think, your odds are stacked pretty against you on the things that still sit way at the lows, like Polkadots, Avalanches, and Cosmos, right? And it's not to hate on any of those. Every asset I just named, I own every single one of them. So there you go. So if you're like, don't hate on mine, I own it, dude. The Freakish Fish says, where are we with your S&P predictions and fractals? S&P predictions and fractals. I don't have really a big S&P prediction. Russell, 2309. Oh, Bitcoin, 121. Yeah, no, I think I don't have a particular number on where I think the S&P is going to stop, but I think we're going to stop whenever the Russell gets there, somewhere between 2550 and 2650. Everett S, member for 25 months. Thanks for everything, BCB. Everett, brother, thank you. And a super chat afterwards. Hey, BCB, quick question regarding the Dow Jones measured in silver. You noticed responses on the fib levels in the past, right? Is there anything interesting to see on the chart at current levels? It's always one of my favorite ones. It clearly sits on a fib. But my thoughts are this will break down. It sits on one right now. But yeah, who would have thought that Dow Jones has actually been in a bear market for 25 years? All we did was change the type of money we have and debase the money. But the money that we used to use in America versus that money, we've been in a bear market for 25 years on the Dow. And all we did was 702 retrace in 2017's insanity in 2018. 121.5 for Bitcoin. I lost Ethereum. Let's put Ethereum back up here. Nothing crazy for Ethereum yet. Not that the whole week hasn't been crazy, but I think we all are looking for the big breakout. Total 2 only a hairline away. We're at 1.65 trillion for total 2, 1.71 being the previous all-time high. Don't worry, total coincidence. It's happening right here. Total coincidence. Son, thank you for the super chat. Handy cappers. I won't show, but I'm saving bid. I gotta be careful. Saving bid ask spread data and charting them as moving average predict volatility. And the results are very exciting. Have been helpful identifying false rallies and sustained ones. Okay, sweet, man. Hopefully it's working. That's what's always fun when you can build your own indicator. That gives you a little bit more clue than what everybody else sees. John. Member for 17 months says, thank you for being here. Remember, smash the like button. That's right. We have 3,400 people in here. If you could smash the like button. Again, this is one of those things. 3,400 people is a nice amount of people. It's a good amount, but it's nothing irrational yet. And those are one of those things we always look for. Hello, Bitcoin. You're about to knock on 122 here in a second. Like we just saw with Coinbase app ranking still being 283. Typical, boring, nothing's going on with the market. Numbers for markets on the mornings between 1,800 and 2,400. 3,400 is certainly elevated, but you would expect it to be elevated when we have total 2 taking out 4-year high today, 4-year high this morning. But the numbers where we start getting a little bit sketch is when we're in those 5,000 and 6,000s. Ethan Davis says, when white yoga pants? I'm not sure if you're referring to the blockchain backer yoga pants. I think I said I would bring those back. I don't know. Only if they get posted on Twitter. It'd be like a one day only. I'll have to talk to PTW. I don't know. Let me see. Do I have the ability to do that? Let me see if it's still there. Do I have an ability to activate it? Show all. What if it's still there? Hold on one second, guys. I know you're like, there's 3,400 people here watching me like do something off screen. But okay, 10 seconds and then I'm done. Nope. Nope. I'll have to revisit that another time. Sorry. I don't know. So the white yoga pants, essentially, of course, there's BCB merch. I don't really like shill it or anything, but there's a link in the description of the live streams. One of the items we had on there were like white yoga pants. And of course, I ordered a lot of the stuff for myself before, releasing it all out there to the universe. And the white yoga pants were very see-through. Of course, I had my wife model them. I was not mad, but you certainly could not wear those out in public. So we took them down because I didn't want people to be like, oh, this totally did not meet my expectations. But if that's what your expectations are going into it, why deny the people what they want? Gino D'Amelio says the 4.236 extension for XRP market cap aligns perfectly with the 2.618 for XRP price at 863, showing further confluence. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. All right, so we are at 57 minutes. I am about 25 minutes behind on super chat. So if there's any like altcoin questions in there, guys, unfortunately, I have to skip over those. I do try to tell you guys, if you come here, people love to toss $2 and then ask for an altcoin coverage in front of 3,500 people. And it's not to be a jerk. I'd rather you keep your money than ask that. It's just not. It's more rude for me to do it to the whole audience of people who don't care about your altcoin. Than to go over that. And it's not to try to be rude. I'd rather you keep your money because I don't want to take it. I don't want you to think I'm a jerk. I don't want everybody to think I'm a jerk. It just puts me in an awkward situation. All right, JJ Jacob, member for 26 months, says 5 ways counted on Link and Ethereum. I see 20% drop before Parabola. Wonder how far XRP will drop. I have strong conviction on most alts peaking at 702 retrace. Most alts will just be retraces. I agree with that. Whether there's a 20% drop, maybe, but I wouldn't fully bet on it for me. I'm definitely not trading anything right now. I'm just sitting back chilling, which is what I do most of the time. Like, for real. When we get to September, middle of September, every single thing I own will be in long-term capital gains tax brackets. So I don't know about you guys. I definitely do my taxes. It's a huge pain in the butt for me every single year. Me and my accountant, nightmare. But with last year's taxes, like 90% of it was all short-term stuff. And this year, I got so frustrated with my taxes. But yeah, this year, we're going to be long-term, baby. And if you don't know, right, short-term capital gains tax like 37%. Long-term capital gains is only 20%. So you can miss the top by 17% and still have the exact same net result when it comes to taxes. So let's go. Tim, using ADA market cap as example, are you applying fib levels from the November breakout of 2021 range? How do you decide which range to use? Yes, November of 2021 peak. Jerome Van Devire, just back from vacation and didn't watch any charts. Looks like your thesis is playing out. Yeah, I think you really could have just done that for the last several weeks. And that's kind of how it's been with me creating content. I'm just kind of like, what else do I say? Like, we're doing exactly like what you would think would be happening. The only thing is we're kind of like reporting on it now and being like, oh, good, Ethereum's doing what we would want to be happening. Oh, good, the Bitcoin dominance is doing what we would want to see doing. Oh, good, the Russell 2000 is doing what we would want to see doing. So it's just, the thesis is working, but it's still just kind of sitting back. Right? We got $122,000 for Bitcoin. Allie. We'll get to it. Thank you, Jerome. Jure, new member, welcome. DD, happy to be doing well, but I agree with you that a depression is on the horizon. Already so many job losses. Hope it's not 10 years like the original. I don't think so. I think what, I watched like a documentary on the Great Depression maybe a month ago too, and just why it was so bad, right? Like the Fed never stepped in to help, right? And like there was so many bank failures and the Fed never helped with any of that type of stuff, and it was just cascading horribleness. I just don't think that would happen again, right? I don't think it would be a 3-year negative 90% crash and crumble. I would think it would be a lot more slower. It'd be more rolling. Jay Pritchard, hey BCB, once the bull run is over, how far do you see the price of XRP falling? Well, if it gets into the $8 or $9 or $10 area, right, most likely it goes back to like 2. Sebastian Aubers, thanks for everything, BCB, and thank you for the super chat, brother. We hope you stick around to share your knowledge with us after this is over, in whatever capacity is enjoyable for you. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I think I've got a plan, right? Doing what I want to do, right? What I don't want to do, like, I'll just be straight with you. What I don't want to do is make YouTube videos 5 days a week saying, we're just going to keep crashing for a year. I just don't want to do that. But I do want to check in with you. I want to hang out with you. It just won't be 5 days a week. It'd be like 2 or 3, which I think is fine. We're doing like 4 right now, kind of like weaning you. Bryson, thank you very much for the super chat, brother. No comment, but thank you. Solomon Mabuto, what's your plan after all this plays out? Will you still do market analysis and post? Will you still invest? Well, I think about what my portfolio will look like after this, right? Once this stuff plays out in here, I'm just essentially going to be way more cash heavy. It's not that I won't still be exposed to the market. I'll still have like 10, 15% of my net worth exposed to crypto, just probably not in the same format that I do right now. Right now, it's like 97% altcoins, right? It's probably going to shift. It's probably going to end up being where only 25%, first of all, of the 100% capital that I have in here in the crypto market right now, only 25% of that will remain in the market. 75% will get extracted and go into cash, and that'll go into 1, paying taxes, 2, high yield savings accounts and treasury bills, right? Netting 3.5-4% annually just on cash, right? Boring, super lame, dumb, not making very much money, but just safe, trying to keep up with inflation, right? But then the remainder of it, right, like the 25-30% that remains in the market will, not be still continue to be allocated as 97% altcoins. It's probably going to shift closer to being like 50% Bitcoin. And then more folk, instead of being like 40 cryptos, maybe just being like 3 or 4, right? And so there'll be a restructure of the entire portfolio. There'll be a lot more money, USD value removed. And even so, like, right, my thoughts are still going to be that amount of money that I leave in the market is likely going to crash, right? And then people say, well, why don't you sell all of it? Well, because there's always the chance I'm wrong, right? And I'd kick myself to be wrong and that this is some crazy thing that ends up happening. So I'm willing to leave a little bit in there, but I'm taking most out, right? Most is coming out. Because to not forget where we are. This crypto YouTube channel was started in November of 2019. $60 billion market cap for the altcoin market. We're at 1.65 trillion, right? If we get up here into 2 trillion or so, it's just gonna be payday. Simple as that. But you know, the way I envision my portfolio looking in general is that I envision myself being closer to 70% cash is where I want to be. And that's how I just want to sit back and chill for a minute while I watch to see what happens in macro markets for a little while, which means I'll still be like 10 or 15% crypto, 10 or 15% gold and silver, and then, you know, I don't know, still like 2 or 3% stocks. But the vast majority moving to cash, right? And that's just, so you ask, investing, yeah, but there's always times where cash is king. And my thoughts are we're going to enter into an environment where cash is probably going to end up being king once we get through all of this. And people have a gambler's mentality where they escape one thing and they must immediately get into the next thing. And that's just not going to be how I'm going to treat it. It's not that I'm getting out of one and I have to jump into something else right away. I can shift over and then I can spend 6 months thinking, all right, how do I want to do this moving forward? That was a big victory. That was a big win. That was amazing. Let me ponder things. Let me assess where I think we are. Is my thesis playing out right? Has this thing popped? Has the stock market popped? How do I want to play this thing moving forward? And give that a little bit of time. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I do know most people are just, they feel like they have to be in every trade. It won't be that way for me. All right, I got to keep moving. Jade Francis says, I appreciate your channel. I lost my job, but crypto gave me a several-year runway so I can feel safer. I sold. Your videos helped me with this. Thanks. That's amazing, Jade. I'm sorry about your job, but it sounds like you have enough time to try to get a new one. That's great. Beachin 989 BCB, what do you think about Polygon? On-time plan, right? Polygon's the same thing of like DOT and AVAX and everything like that, right? And it's all this Ethereum L2 stuff. Are we going to see any type of Ethereum L2 run? That's been something that I've been wondering too. Like, I'm going to be very curious to see what happens with the L2s right here. Right there. Oh, man. Okay, I've got my wife texting me saying, did you even frog? And then I'm realizing we're 10 minutes past when we're supposed to be. And I've only played the frog one time today. We're going to move a little faster. We'll see how the L2s do in here. Rodrigo, member for 24 months, 2 years, brother. Hey, BCB, about XRP and Sol, mostly in September. I won't miss like ETH. I planned but skipped. Need money and time for beach party, plus fixed by Visa. All right, brother. Dude, thank you for support, man. 2 years, big milestone, man. Caveman. The Big Bomber dropped a hundo. Dude, thank you very, very much. I just want to take time to thank you again for everything, BCB. It's crazy to see how everything is repeating with the top coming in. I actually started off as a hater in the peak of 2021. I never said anything mean, though. Much love, brother. Caveman, thank you very much, brother. It's very generous. Yeah. It happens. It happens. It is just kind of crazy, right? We're doing what we're supposed to be doing, and we're seeing the altcoins waking up, the Bitcoin dominance, Ethereum. We're seeing the Russell 2000 now getting out of the retrace. Right. So, right. When people say locked in, I'm locked in. And not locked in because I'm like, oh, I'm right. I'm locked in because I think this is where we're at. That's where we're headed. And I think a lot of people are going to get sucked into BS. They're going to get sucked into false narratives. They're going to get sucked into this time is different. They're going to get sucked into a bunch of baloney. And what that means is, like you just said, it was a hater at the peak of 2021. We'll get a lot of, when new people pour in, right? So you just have to understand what happens, right? So you have X amount of people here right now, right? Like, let's say you have 10% of people here. Well, 90% of them all come from the sidelines. And this is like the retail crowd, right? These are the retail crowds, and they come pouring in all at once, and they come and buy the 10% bags. There's a lot of content that is tailored towards these people. Hey, you're going to get rich. You're going to make a ton of money, dude. Super cycle. You're not too late. If I can spell, you're still early to these people, right? That's what happens in this market. And so this crowd gets very angry at the idea that this is happening and it's not some super cycle. But most content out there is tailored towards selling the idea of super cycle. And so we're going to enter into a phase where people will get very, very mad at the idea of La Picaria. Probably be starting a Spanish YouTube channel. I'll be selling a Spanish-speaking course very soon. Folk TV, new member. Welcome, brother. And Caveman, thank you. Very generous, dude. Rodrigo says, hey, BCB, could ETFs soften the bear to 80% versus 90%? Or Treasury Core even out there if they falter? It feels like a hit to untrained metrics. You're in TXMCs. I don't know what TXMCs take, but I can't speculate on whether or not ETFs or any of that stuff's going to soften the blow. If anything, we are going to be more tied to the stock market now than we ever were, right? So I don't know if that will help in any way. Because here's what we'll have for the first time ever that we haven't had is you'll have institutional level capitulation. Right? We haven't had that. We just had a retail capitulation. What happens with institutional level capitulation? What happens with Bitcoin Treasury, Ethereum Treasury level capitulation? And, because what happens is these are all very sophisticated products. They're all borrowing lots of money to be able to do these things. They're like levered to the gills to be able to create these products. When they get drawn down too far, then there becomes an even bigger cascade at the lows because they're all in the race to sell to be able to meet their debt obligations. So I think it'll be crazier at the bottom. But, the percentages, we'll see. Ali K, I miss spicy BCB, so could you look at ADA? Thank you very much, Ali. Bryson says, BCB, I've been here since 2020. I know you're a charts guy and what you're playing for this cycle, but do you buy the utility hype for the long term. So I've been in this market for about 8.5 years. Been creating YouTube channels for YouTube videos. In 3 months from now will be my six-year anniversary. In 3 months from now, there's some things we use it on, right? But mostly we use crypto to speculate and gamble with, right? Outside of that, what are we really using it for, right? So it really just becomes speculation. So we kind of like, well, what are we going to use it for? And we all kind of like do price appreciation and speculation on what price will be or what the utility will be. But there certainly of what I thought we would see when I started creating YouTube videos 6 years ago and where we are right now. I mean, I thought this would be way more intermingled into our everyday lives or functionality than where we are right now. Right, it's very, very little used. Right, and people will say, well, that's because it's been the regulation hang up, it's been the SEC hang up. Now we got pro crypto, pro everything, and maybe so. But we still have literally no idea what utility value is. And utility value, people want to speculate, oh, utility value is way above what it is right now. I would argue utility value is likely below wherever we are right now for any of this stuff. And because if there's utility value, right, like if this is where price is, right, well, then utility value is probably holding it up right here. And everything in the spread in between here is probably speculation value, pushing it above. And so wherever it bottoms at, right, that's probably where the utility floor is. So wherever we are, I argue that the utility is probably already valued in way down here, and anything above that, wherever we are now, is probably the speculative value stacked on top of it. If you follow what I'm saying. How to keep going. Taylor, member for 28 months. My brother, hey BCB, rarely catch you live. Thanks for everything. I try to like to watch. Thanks for your guidance. Try to like to watch is 1 minus. So you're looking at the inverse chart of Bitcoin dominance minus, or Bitcoin plus Tether and USDC. Okay. I'll take a look at it, brother. Insane Zane. Super chat, brother. Thank you. I can't read that. I don't know if that's Abony or Adony. Thank you mentioning his $2 altcoin. Thank you. Sylvester Banish. Hey BCB, do you think Cardano hit a new all-time high this second month? You guys gotta be kidding me. Don't know. We'll see. All right. There we go. We've made it through, guys. I ran 20 minutes past what I'm supposed to be running past. Looks like XRP at 325, kind of struggling a little bit, while Bitcoin's trying to push up and higher and trying to get into a little bit more of a break. We got the Russell 2000 up here at 2308. We'll see if we can get the close here for the Russell 2000. That's extremely optimistic happening in there. Otherwise, those are the major things to watch for today. Keep an eye on the Russell. We'll see what Bitcoin continues to do throughout the rest of today. Otherwise, you guys can, of course, check out the newsletter over here at blockchainbacker.substack.com. You can check out bcbacker.com with over 40 videos and 11 hours of content teaching you how to set up your own charts and indicators within TradingView and CoinTrader Pro. Solomon said, as a newbie, how do I start learning markets and economics as a whole, crypto stocks, etc.? What do you recommend? A degree in economics, goal is to invest. It's just something you become passionate about. I don't know if they're like following any blueprints is really the way. It's certainly not how I did it. I was just intrigued in it and studied everything. The thing that brought me into it was charts. And then once I realized that my emotions were totally wrong-footing me every single time in markets, it became a really big study on me how to fix that behavior. And I started tracking it, right? Documenting where I think that's more valuable than anything. One, just learning basics of charting, and then understanding where are your emotions telling you to take actions, and then charting that out and saying, wow, my emotions would have screwed me here, and they would have screwed me here. and they would have screwed me here. And I did that by writing a big log, like a diary, essentially, a market diary, and what I was thinking during those times. And that taught me a lot about my particular feelings. So whenever something is happening on a chart and I'm feeling a particular feeling, I can reflect back on it and say, hey, every time I felt like this, a reversal came next. Right? Every time I felt extremely sick to my stomach, a reversal happened right after that, and we went to the upside. Or every time I was feeling really excited and I felt like this, where I wanted to play the Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. We reversed to the downside, right? Shout out to people from 2019 who know what that is. But yeah, so it's more just experience and finding the things that you like and you're passionate about. I don't know if there's really a one size fits all on what to study. I know I didn't get an economics degree. So, okay, what am I doing? I gotta go. Hey, let's frog. Let me mute this. I can't believe I messed that up again. If it played this next video that just had no audio to it. Okay, there we go. Audio. Froggy. Put it on screen. There we go.
It is Wednesday, my It is Wednesday.
All right, that is it, you guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. Keep an eye on that Russell if we can close above 2286 today. Right now at 2306. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like the live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.